life has slowed down.
Yep.
So I would hope that, yes, a lot more people have accidentally stumbled across that, thinking, realizing, well, actually, yeah, everything I need is already inside of me. I just need to allow my wisdom space and room to show it. And then the flip side of that, of course, is it allows people to see that ego, it's to see it for what it is, and that is a barrier that they
Yep.
can move, like the rock. They can just push it to one side and away it goes.
Yep.
Something else as well that a lot of people are starting to realize as well is this idea of carrying memories and issues through time in their head when they don't need to. There's a story of two monks, and the two monks are part of an order that forbids talking to the outside world, and especially talking to females or interacting with females in any way. So what the monks do is, rather than scare everyone or to impose upon the villagers, what they did was, on their journey, they would go down around the outskirts of the villages and towns, so they didn't annoy anyone or scare anyone. And as they were traveling through the country, the rain was quite heavy. It was coming down, and there was thunderstorms, and they had the cowl over their heads, and they were shivering. But they knew what they need. They were going where they needed to go. They were going to the monastery, and they were going to get there. And it was a 2 days walk, and they were shivering, and they had the rope around tied around to keep themselves warm whilst they're going, and eating a bit of bread just to keep their energy up and a bit of water. And one afternoon they came to a huge river, and of course, with all the rain, the river had risen and it had flooded everywhere, and the boat had been smashed against the rocks, the boat that would have taken them across the river. And they came across a young lady, and the young lady was crying and sobbing and saying, "Can you please help me? I need to get across this water to my family who are waiting for me, because I've got some bread here, I've got some food that will help them, and I need shelter. I'm really cold and really wet." And the younger monk just ignored her, because that was part of the orders. That was part of his order. No, nothing to didn't wasn't rude. Just turned away and tried to work out how they were going to get across the river. And the older monk looked at her, and after a bit of a discussion and a bit of a think, he picked her up and carried her across on his back across the river, because the river wasn't actually that deep. It was enough for them to get across. Yes, it was a little bit wobbly going across the river, and the wind was coming up, and you, at one point they nearly fell over, but they managed to get across, both the monks and the girl. And the older monk dropped the girl down on the other side, and she thanked him profusely, and off she went to go and see her family. And as soon as she had gone, the younger monk was right at the older monk, saying, "Why did you do that? You're bringing shame upon the order. You should not have done that. What were you thinking?" And for a full hour, all this younger monk would do, is talk about how bad the older monk has been, and how he's going to bring ruin upon his own soul for having spoken to, let alone carrying a female. And how he would, how he's never going to be able to forgive him for ever doing this. And they got to a woods, and the old man turns around and said, "You know what? I dropped that girl on the ground over 2 hours ago, and you are still carrying her in your head."
So very true.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's to add to it or to actually, I may be taken away from a fantastic method story more than anything else. We introduced our 7-year-old and 3-year-old to the Back to the Future trilogy. Just we were off for a few days and a month this week, so yeah. So we introduced them to Back to the Future. Brennan is understood it all. 7-year-old understood it all. He was putting the pieces together, you know. But then they can't go back because that means that and he done incredibly well, actually. My 20-year-old was still writing down notes as my 7-year-old was going, I get it, he can, and he can, and she, they're going to meet themselves and all the rest of that. And my 20-year-old son's got a notepad and pen, and he's literally going, what did you say? How is he go? Oh, right, I get that now, I get it.
How do you spell flux?
Yeah, capacitor, is that one M? My point, if there ever is one, which there's not often a point in my stories, as we well know, but the point on watching it that I actually, my brain never switches off from coaching, obviously. As I'm watching Back to the Future, I thought, isn't there something to be said about the fact that old Marty McFly back in 1985, Michael J. Fox, and I forget Great Scots, what's his name, Lloyd?
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd.
His actual Christopher Lloyd, yeah. And Steven Spielberg, bearing in mind he wrote it. So, but the concept
with Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, okay. Make sure that everybody gets credits here, just in case we actually make the international stage. You know, I hate to get in trouble for that.
Robert Zemeckis had something to do with it as well.
It's like this is a setup. You understood everything here. It's the fact that they are, when they go to the future or past, when they go to the past in particular, and the doc says you cannot change anything, because the moment you change something in the past, it will create a new future line. And if anybody is still trying to remember Back to the Future, this is the part where they have the sports almanac, and that creates the betting. That Biff then ends up being super rich in the future. So it was one tiny speck of change the future for someone. And I'm thinking that we can't go into our past. Why would we? We can't change it. It's only in the now, because that's all we know. The past is gone. But at any point, you can change something which creates a different future. And this was filmmaking in 1985 with very few graphics, by the way, but it's still an amazing movie. And I'm thinking there's something in that. And honestly, there's a connection there. I'll write about this, because there's a connection in amongst that I just thought, how strange is that's some of the things that we talk about now. And yet here it is in a Michael J. Fox movie. You know what I mean? Done in 1985.
And you'll see that actually when you watch movies now, whether they be brand new or old, you watch them with different eyes and a different understanding. And you'll see that even in TV series, for example, the really good ones, you can see an underlying element of, look, all that matters is what's happening now.
Yeah.
Be it sci-fi, be it rom-com, be it factual, be it documentary, there is an underlying element there that everyone is trying to get across to people, in whatever medium suits them and works. Yeah, you've only got now.
Whatever platform.
Yeah, you've only got now. The rest,
you were discussing,
doesn't exist anymore. The future can't exist. So all you have is now.